Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name's Amit, and at Be a Creator, I'm trying to help you out buy the game that doesn't break your bank and makes reasonable amount of sense when you, especially starting as a YouTuber or any social media content creator, I would say, right? So in this video today, we are discussing if ZVe10 Mark 1 is still a good camera in 2025, or is it just a all-time favorite of all the content creators who just switched to Sony system? Because trust me, in 2022, this camera was more of a hype than AI nowadays. So let's talk about why this camera is so special and what made it so popular among content creators especially. So it comes in a very light body, and it does support interchangeable lens feature, which means you can swap the lenses based on what you want to use. If you want a wider lens, you can do that. If you want something specific and a telephoto, maybe you're doing a wildlife photo shoot, you can do that with this camera as well, because of that feature where it allows you to swap the lenses, right? So there was one thing. The other amazing thing about this camera is it does have a flipped out screen which flips sideways, which helps you to frame your shot well. And currently I am able to see the framing of the shot, and it's pretty good feature when you consider that the camera doesn't come with a EVF. But we'll come to the downsides later, right? So let's focus on the good parts for now. The other bit is it supports 4K recording as well as 4K clear HDMI out, which means if you're trying to use this camera as your studio setup, you would be able to do it because it supports via HDMI. You can get 4K clear footage, record directly to your computer via softwares like OBS, and you would be, good to go. And the best part about it is it's fairly affordable. Like it's not breaking your bank even when it was launched, but considering in 2025 we can buy this camera for anywhere around 900 Australian dollars just the body, and around $1,000 for body with a kit lens. And in today's video, I decided to use the kit lens. So this is the ZVe10 footage with a kit lens. The good part about it is, if we have to recap it, it's very light, it's affordable, and it does support interchangeable lenses. And best part, it shoots 4K video, and that's it. Like, that's the footage you get straight out of the camera. And I'm using a mic, which is a shotgun mic that is Sony's, and you don't need wire for that because it's compatible with a hot shoe mount, which brings me to another good point. This camera does have a hot shoe mount, which means if you want to use DJI wireless mics, you would be able to do it via their hot shoe adapter, and which is quite good, right? Coming to the next bit, like what makes it so good even in 2025, or if it makes it so good in 2025, is again 4K video support, and it's quite sharp. I believe it's downsized from a 6K sensor. So in that case, you are seeing something which would be a bit more sharper than if it was just a 4K sensor. And the next good part about this is it's very lightweight. Like, you wouldn't feel the weight of the camera along with the lens, even if you're doing handheld shooting for a vlog entire day. Like, it's that light. It's under 400 grams with the lens, which is, given the camera that I've used, is very light. You wouldn't even feel it. In fact, I was able to pocket this camera, including the lens, in my jean pocket, although there's a significant bulge there, but still it was something which I was able to do, and it's quite a good thing to have. Like, if your camera is so small that you can put it comfortably in a jacket pocket, that's perfect for daily capturing your daily life, or even if you're not doing content creation, even then just taking it out on a city photo shoot or whatever, it's just pretty good. The lightweight feature is way more underrated than what we give it credit to. And the next part, which is just, I think at this stage is quite common in all the Sony cameras, is the fact that the autofocus on these cameras is brilliant. Like, this one doesn't have any AI or anything like that, but saying that it still captures as well as focuses quite well. Like, even in the dark scenario, you would be able to see me, and would be able to focus fine. Like, it's not struggling or anything. Like if I block it, let's try it out, and then if I move away, it's focusing fine. And that's actually a good thing, because you don't want, as a new content creator especially, to struggle on a out of focus footage or try manual lenses, right? So with this camera, you get a decent, not decent, excellent autofocus. And in 2025, if anything, the lenses that coming out from a Sony E-mount ecosystem, even via the external providers, are so good that there's no point in buying a known interchangeable lens camera, in my humble opinion. Like, even if you don't want to learn the videography or cinematography, just want to run and gun setup, even then I would suggest try the lenses that third party is making for Sony E-mount, and you would be surprised how good that footage is compared to a camera which does have a fixed lens. Now, there cannot be everything good about this camera, otherwise you wouldn't need the new cameras, right? So let's discuss what are the drawbacks of you buying this camera, and what sort of I think bad things you need to deal with if you're buying this one in 2025. The first thing which I would say is it doesn't have 10-bit color, which means, for someone who doesn't know what 10-bit color is, it does have 8-bit color, which is 16 million colors. But if you have a 10-bit footage, that's around 2.1 billion colors in the footage. So what that allows is for you to push the colors when you're doing your post-production or color grading to quite a big extent. And even cameras like my DJI Pocket 3, they support 10-bit color now. So it would have been great. Like, you wouldn't need the ZVe10 Mark II if it had 10-bit color, because the footage coming out of this camera is pretty good. It's just that it doesn't support 10-bit color. And the second biggest drawback about this camera would be the sensor that ZVe10 Mark I had a very big problem with rolling shutter. What rolling shutter means is, like, if you're moving your camera or you're panning your camera too quickly, the objects around it sort of looks wobbly and bendy, which means if you're taking a video of a fast moving subject, it doesn't look natural. It just has that wobble in it. But saying that, if you just want to shoot something with a tripod, or you're not planning to move too quickly, then there's no issue in that. And the next bit would be that it doesn't have any sort of IBIS, which is, there's no internal stability. And you can counter it by buying something like OSS lenses, which would be able to, give you decent footage. It does have active stability, which is like your computerized version of it, where the camera decides how much it needs to crop in to make the footage usable. And to be honest, it's not super bad. It's not super shaky if you're being cautious with it. But I'd rather have a camera which does have IBIS, so you can use the lenses to make it more stable. But this one doesn't have, and that's one of the things which you learn to live with if you're buying this camera. And I think another drawback compared to the recently released cameras would be it does have a weak low light performance. Like, it doesn't support any dual negative ISOs like the ZVe10 Mark II or 6700 or FX30. And I'm not even talking about the ZVe1 FX3, FX6 sensor, which supports up to 12,800 ISO, which literally can see it at night. Like, if I was doing this shoot in a ZVe1, I wouldn't need this light. I can literally use the same lens, pump up the ISO to 12,800, and you would be able to see the footage and without any grade. So that's another sort of drawback. Like, it's not the worst performer when it comes to low light, but if you compare it to any footage coming from a camera which is 10-bit and recent release, you would see the footage difference. You would see the quality difference in it. Now, that brings me to the point of, like, now that brings us to the discussion of, like, why you should consider it then. Like, if it does have that many drawbacks and the newer camera is that good, why you shouldn't go with that one then? Well, the first thing is, if you're a new content creator, you're not even sure that, you want to pursue this or not at this stage, then it would be good to spend less money to begin with, rather than getting the best gear out there and then trying to defend that purchase, just like I'm doing with my 60-day challenge on my channel. If you don't know about that, just check my other videos where I discuss what the challenge is and what I'm trying to do. But yeah, that could be the thing. Buying this camera would make sense just to try it out, just try the Sony ecosystem. Or if you're already in the ecosystem, you have multiple Sony lenses lying around, that this could be a solid B cam or a studio camera, because there you can control the environment and lights, and the footage that's coming out of it would not need to be that much color graded, which would kill off the drawback that it had with the 8-bit footage. Then you wouldn't care that much about it, especially with the YouTube's compression. The footage that goes to YouTube and platforms like that doesn't always take benefit of the 10-bit either way, so you would be able to use it perfectly there. And the next bit is like this camera does have a electronic shutter as well as a physical shutter, which is a big deal when you think about photography. So this camera, the new version of this camera doesn't have a mechanical shutter, which means when you're taking the photos, and if you do have a shake or a fast moving object, the rolling shutter effect also transition to photos. Although in this one, you can take photos and it doesn't matter how fast you're moving the camera. If your shutter speed is high enough, the images would be quite stable. And which makes it like a perfect hybrid camera for if you're more into photos than videos, then yeah, that could be something which you can try it out. And as I said, the best part is it's very cheap. And since it's been released for so long, I've purchased mine for as low as $500. Like this one, I picked it up for 700 Australian dollars, but still, it's a good price because this is almost brand new. I needed a camera for my teleprompter setup, so I ended up buying this, but I'm using it to shoot today just to see how good and how bad it is in today's comparison to other cameras. And it should be fine now because there's like a lot of street lights and even this light's helping out. So I believe this would be good, I think, in that sense. So if you want a pro tip, I would suggest buy this camera, get a decent lens and a tripod, and maybe pick up a ND filter for your lens, and you would be golden when it comes to you would be satisfied with this setup. Like, don't look around trying to find reasons not to use this camera, because there'll be plenty. Because other, I think, bad part which I forgot to mention is that this camera doesn't have a touchscreen interface when it comes to controlling the features. Although it does have touchscreen for autofocus or tracking, but it doesn't allow you to change your menu or settings through touchscreen, which is not bad. If your first camera, you can get around it. You'll get used to not using it that way. But I thought I'll just mention it. That's one of the drawbacks as well. But trust me, like I've used the new system. That's pretty good, I wouldn't lie. But this one's not bad once you get a hold of it, and that's the only camera you're using, or you're using it in a setup where you can just precondition it. Then you don't need all that fancy setup as well as the touchscreen interface. As like the screen's good enough for you to just frame, but it's not color accurate. It's not something where to be too much happy about, is what I would say. So let me pick up my dinner and then we can continue this conversation. So in Australia, we do have a Mexican food chain which is called GYG. It's pretty good. And it's
There you go.
thank you.
Have a good night.
You too. And as it turns out, it's pretty quick as well. I think that's got to do with the closing time is like 4 minutes away. So might be one of the last orders for tonight. But yeah, coming back to the ZVe10 Mark 1, I think, to be honest, like if you're just starting out and you are sure that you want to move into something which is better than your phone, then this could be a good starting point. But saying that, let's assume you're serious about your content creation journey, or you have enough money in the bank account, right? We don't know who we're talking to. So let's talk about finally who should skip it, like who should just avoid it, right? So if you're someone who needs an IBIS, obviously the camera doesn't have it, so I think you can easily skip it. And for more context, IBIS is actually pretty good when you taking like photos as well. It's not just about videos, because if you have an IBIS, you can actually get the shutter speed down to quite a bit low compared to a camera which doesn't have IBIS, which means you wouldn't have shaky images, and they could be quite sharp when it comes to that. Both my other cameras, which is Panasonic Lumix S9 and A7C2, do have IBIS, and you can spot the difference. Like it's that evident. And if you're doing any sort of color grading, then I believe a little bit is fine if you're just learning. But if you're doing heavy color grading, I wouldn't recommend this camera at all. Like it's not something which it would hold for long. And yeah, and for that, I think it's something which I would say just skip it. And finally, if you shoot something which is fast moving, like if you're shooting cars or doing some sort of sport photography or videography, then because of the rolling shutter issue, I would recommend you to skip it. And if you're into those sort of videos, then I believe the best camera that Sony makes would be a FX3, FX6, and they do share the same sensor with ZVe10 and A7S3. So if you're into videography where you need to shoot something which is fast moving, those will be the camera which I would pick up. Otherwise, FX30 is a pretty good camera. A6700 is decent, but A6700 as well as the ZVe10 Mark II do have a overheating issue. The 6700 is a lot worse than the ZVe10 Mark II, but it still overheats. FX30, although it wouldn't, because it does have internal fan. So depending on your need, you might want to consider those cameras. And if you're not too big on collecting Sony gear or don't want to move to Sony ecosystem, then I would say there's other options. Like I've personally tried the Lumix S9, and that was pretty good. And you can easily buy a used Lumix S5, I believe, which would be quite good for most of the things that we discussed. It does have IBIS, it does have decent body control, as well as the lenses wouldn't be like there's not enough options in Lumix system which I've found. But then again, if you want to just start and explore, that could be something which you can get. And and to be honest, like if you got a decently new iPhone and good lights, they can compete easily with the footage that we are getting from this camera. The only bit is that they don't have interchangeable lens. But if you're just going to use a kit lens, then might as well use your iPhone to start with. Other than that, like it's very less I can fault about the footage that I get from this camera. It's very light. It's one of the reasons I picked it up again and again. This might be my third or fourth ZVe10 which I've picked up. So I don't buy it. Like I've never bought a ZVe10 Mark 1 new. I've bought a ZVe10 Mark 2 new, but that's another story for another day. We're talking about this camera, and yeah, let's see after editing how the footage holds, and do let me know in the comments like what do you think about this footage as well as this style of video. And yeah, looking forward to helping you more through my channel. So subscribe if you haven't already, and share the video with anyone who's thinking about his ZVe10 Mark 1. And let me know if you want to see the footage from Mark 2 from similar setup, because I can use the same lens that wants an interchangeable lens camera as well. So I can use the same lens just to compare and see, how those footages would look. But other than that, have a good night or good morning, wherever and whenever you're watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.